Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I started years ago, I needed a platform to help me distribute my work, and I discovered Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And what I found most helpful is that Anchor is 100% free and super easy to use. And not only that, Anchor matches you with great sponsors who want to advertise with your podcast. And that means that you can get paid to do what you love, and that is to record your thoughts. If you want to get started, go ahead and go to anchor.fm/start. Again, that's anchor.fm/start. And join me and other podcasters as we use Anchor to get our thoughts out into the world. Hey, family, this is Dr. William Clark for the Dr. William Clark Podcast. Glad to be with you for another podcasting opportunity, and I'm thankful for another day. I hope that you are too, with so many people who are just being impacted by COVID-19. It's certainly important for us to be thankful for every opportunity we have to wake up and to do what we do, to do what we love. And this podcast is focused on nonprofits, the most passionate type of companies that exist, and it's also where the most passionate leaders go to work, nonprofit organizations. And so I'm thankful to be with you all today. I wanted to talk about what factors go into influencing grant decisions. And I've been having this conversation on social media the past couple of days with folks, and just talking about where they are in their grant cycle or their fundraising cycle. And typically, the people that ask this type of question are people who are just starting out, who don't understand the game. And it's not like mature nonprofits don't ask the question, well, what went into the decision to give us or not give us this particular grant? But you tend to find this question and the cynicism of the question among people who are just new to the game, who are new to the industry and new to the process. And consequently, they just don't know, what goes into that type of thinking. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what goes into that type of thinking, what goes into the process of a nonprofit being selected to win a grant or to have a positive decision in their favor when it comes to funding opportunities. So there are four things that I do want to. Is there four? Let me see here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I got 5. Okay. So there are 5 things I want to go over with you as it relates to the factors that influence grant decisions. Here's the first thing. What is the relevance of the funder's priorities, and what's the relevance of their priorities connected to what you are prioritizing? When you're starting out, it's really important to make sure you are clear about what your goals are. It's important to make sure that you're clear about what your expectations are and what you're trying to accomplish for your nonprofit, for your customer, and for the people who are rooting for you. Now, it's important for you to know that, because it's so easy to get caught up in, well, where's the money and who has the money and how do I get the grant you got? Because once you hear a friend get a grant and you're new to this game and you hear, oh, they got $1,000 here, let me go after them and figure out how I can get it too, you're missing the point. You've completely missed the business model of how all this works. And this is not unique to the nonprofit world. This is true for all businesses. I've run a real estate company several years ago, and it was real popular to do the no money down strategy when you get in your first home. And frankly, it works. I don't know if people still do it, so I can't really speak to it. But I remember when I first started out, the no money down technique was key. And it relied upon, obviously FHA loan, and then also getting concessions from the seller in the process. And that particular strategy did work for me, but it wasn't the strategy that I actually needed long term for what I was trying to accomplish. And when I started my company, I wasn't clear on that. I wasn't sure about that, but I was like everyone else, did my research, and I did it, and it actually worked. But as I wanted to do it more, I wanted to get more property, and I wanted to expand the company, quickly learned that strategy has its limitations, given, where we get the funding from, and then how much I'm required to put down for subsequent homes. And then, the concessions, how home, get losing my words, but the concessions home buyers are were willing to give. And what I did not know at the time where we were in the market. It was literally a year before, maybe 2 years before the market crashed, that I started my company. And so those constraints created this kind of effect where me and other new investors were saying, hey, let's go and copy this strategy because they say it works, and it's a collective they. And they who taught that strategy knew that it worked, but it wasn't for the long term. It wasn't for massive growth. It wasn't for growth that would be sustainable. And as a result of that, come 2007, 8, 9, I lost my business. I lost everything. And so I had to relearn and rebuild my business after several years of trying to just recover. And I did. I relaunched it, but not in the way that I did the first time. And so I began to operate the business differently. My business practices were different. My model was different. My approach to customers and partners were way different. And so I tried to figure out, and one of the things I had to figure out was, how was I relevant to the people I was buying from and selling to? That was a key question that I needed to answer personally. Because if I wasn't able to answer that, then there's no way that I knew that I could actually grow my business and be successful long term. I wanted to be more than just a momentary investor. I wanted to be more than just, someone who was just riding the wave. It was more important to me to have this stuff figured out, right? And if I'm reading you right as an audience, you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to serve your community for the long term. You're trying to do more than just the momentary thing. You're trying to do more than just get by for this moment. And so you have to understand business. When you are operating a business, whether it's a nonprofit or whatever, you have to understand that you must be relevant to the funder and to stakeholders. These are people who are going to give you money and not ask for it back, which is what a grant is. In order for them to release money to you, you are likely submitting a grant application, or if you're doing individual giving, you're giving them a prospectus of your organization and what you hope to accomplish. If what you are trying to accomplish is not relevant to their personal priorities because they have the money, then you're not going to get the grant. You're not going to get the money you're looking for. That's a big deal. So don't assume just because you have an awesome idea, don't assume because you have an amazing concept that you will automatically find the money. You have to be relevant to funders. Now, there's a way around that. Even if you're not relevant to certain funders, there's a way around getting money from funders that won't fund your work, and it's okay. But in order to explain that to you, we would have to have a much longer podcast, and or you would have to register for my masterclass where I talk to you about partnerships and the depths of what it takes to develop partnerships and why they are relevant. But I want to move on to this next point, right? What factors influence grant decisions? Here's the second thing I want to share with you, and it's the strength of your project, right? So for the past week or two, I've been on social media looking at people who are introducing their new nonprofit or introducing a nonprofit who's about 3, maybe 5 years old, and you look at the mission statement, and the mission statements are so unclear. They're not mission statements that specifically speak to a thing or a person or a reality. And remember the first point I talked about, right? You have to have a relevant project that is attractive to funders. What makes a nonprofit unattractive to funders, among other things, is an incongruent mission statement, an unclear mission statement, and people tend to put together mission statements that feel good, that sounds good to them, but to an objective reader who doesn't know your business, who doesn't understand your business, who has no vested interest in your business, if it doesn't make sense to us, we just move on, right? You can't have a mission statement or a nonprofit that says we seek to empower kids through conferences and events and stuff like that, right? That means nothing. Everybody has an event. Everybody has a component of empowerment. That's nothing. You got to be very specific, right? You got to be specific about the type of kid you're serving. You got to be specific about the barriers that kid is dealing with, where that kid is from. For example, off the cuff, right? Instead of saying we seek to empower kids through events, conferences, and activities, perhaps you want to say, if this is your nonprofit, we nonprofit X, we work with kids who are justice involved and who need a pathway to avoid the justice system going forward, right? Now, that's a very long mission statement, but to get the point, right? You're very specific about, obviously, you're serving kids, but you're serving justice involved children or young adults, and you're trying to help them stay away from the justice system going forward. That's very specific. Now, part of the reason why people are not specific is because of fear. They don't want to, quote, leave funders out or leave themselves too vulnerable to be stuck. I understand that fear. I understand the concern. But if you're not specific about what you do, then you will not get the funding you're looking for. Again, we're talking about what factors influence grant decisions. And if you're not relevant to a funder, which is likely because you're not specific and you're not good at what you do, then your project is not going to be strong. And your project isn't strong. And we can tell it's not strong because your mission statement isn't strong. Right? The subsequent projects that result from your mission statement should be a congruent, parallel, supportive of this very specific mission statement. Now, you may support justice-involved youth to prevent them from getting back involved in the justice system, and that's the mission. But your projects may vary in nature to support that purpose, whether you're doing after school let's say after school training or after school support for kids between 16 and 18 so that they are not introduced to the justice system. Perhaps one of the programs you offer is a mentorship program for 18 to 20-year-olds who are disconnected from career pathways, which is one of the ways kids become involved in the justice system. Perhaps you offer free counseling for families who are high barriered and who have low income, because low income can lead to getting involved in the justice system. Perhaps you offer a daycare service that's connected to mothers, single mothers who have a partner or an older son who is involved in the justice system who's currently locked up. When you look at the variations of programs I just listed, and all of it is supportive of this mission of preventing youth from getting involved in the justice system, now you can understand why your program must feed into a very specific mission statement. And when it ties into this mission statement that is supposed to be relevant to a funder, then you know you have a strong project. That is super, super important to know, and that is something that we need to continue to push towards. Strengthen your mission statement, strengthen your projects, and you will begin to see grant opportunities open up to you, and in some cases, you'll start to see grant revenue flowing your way. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. Have you ever wondered how large nonprofits consistently generate millions of dollars? Have you ever wondered how to write the perfect grant, or how to successfully manage a grant, or even how to find money beyond grants? Hi, my name is Dr. William Clark, and I'm the creator and instructor of What You Should Know Before Applying for Grants. This masterclass has over 28 modules of training, and it comes with tools, tips, and tricks on how to generate significant money for your nonprofit. Some students have been fortunate enough to build six-figure programs, and others have been fortunate enough to triple their fundraising results because of this masterclass. Whatever your fundraising goals are, this masterclass can help you achieve them. To register your seat, simply go to mysixfigurefunding.com. That's mysixfigurefunding.com, and you'll be taken immediately into our student portal where you can access all of our trainings. You can take the trainings on demand, at your own pace, and at any time. You even can interact with other students and me all online from the comfort of your home or your office. If you want to secure your seat today for this masterclass, what you should know before applying for grants, simply go to mysixfigurefunding.com. Again, that's mysixfigurefunding.com. And I'm looking forward to learning with you and growing with you as you achieve your fundraising goals for your nonprofit. Okay, family, so we're back. We're talking about what 5 factors influence grant decisions. And here's a third one, right? The reputation of your organization and your leaders matter. If you're not a known quantity, if no one knows who you are, if no one knows what you do, if no one knows your company, then it's really hard to land a grant. It's cool that you do these great things and you serve kids, or you save puppies and you save the whales and you keep the earth green and healthy. But if no one knows what you do, then there's no way to really kind of get a grant. I mean, let's be honest about it. One of the things that holds a lot of nonprofits back is their lack of investment into public relations and marketing and sales. And that is a huge, huge problem. We as an industry are very heart-driven. We are heart-driven to solve problems. We're heart-driven to fix issues. We're heart-driven to to really serve the people. And we oftentimes, particularly those who are new, say we don't want to do it for the press, we don't want to do it for the gram, we don't want to do it to be seen. And yet we complain secretly to our friends and to our family that I can't find the money. No one support me. No one's shown up at our events. It's because you have the wrong mentality. In a previous podcast, maybe yesterday or the day before, I talked about we're driven by the heart, and that is so important. The heart drives us. It keeps us in the business. It keeps us focused on what we do and why we do what we do. But one of the things you got to remember, one of the things you have to remember is you are operating a business. If you are selling a t-shirt, if you're a t-shirt company, if you're a juice company, you have to market and let people know about your product. Marketing is all about letting people know, making them aware of your product so that they can make a decision or be encouraged to spend money or patronize with your company. In addition, marketing, and this is just me, I don't know if this is true because I'm not a marketing guru, but I've internalized this for my own purposes. Marketing serves as a reminder to people of what they claim that they want for themselves in their lives, right? When I was doing real estate and I would market, hey, sell me your ugly home. We buy homes fast for cash, all that type of stuff. My marketing served as a reminder to my potential seller that, hey, I have this home that I don't like. I started construction on it. I spent way too much money on it. I ran out of money, or I inherited a home from my grandmother or my grandfather or my parents and they passed away and it's just too much hassle. I just want to sell it, get rid of it, and let the family move on. And so I just need cash, or I need to pay for my kids' college and I got this property sitting here doing nothing and I just need to get rid of it. So these scenarios are running through the mind of my seller. And when they see my sign, sell your house for cash fast, or sell me your ugly home, it is a reminder of, oh yeah, I did think about that this week. I did think about that this morning. I was wrestling with this last month or last quarter or last year. Let me give this guy a call. And that's how action is generated. That's how phone calls are generated. Conversations happen with our potential buyers, and we get to the point where they agree to terms with me and my company and my associates, and we would just close the deal. The marketing served as a reminder. As it translates to the nonprofit world, it's the same thing. We become very apologetic and we feel so embarrassed to let people know I got a program. No, see, I don't apologize when I email people repeatedly about my program because things happen. As an executive, I'm super busy and sometimes emails get past me. I appreciate emails that remind me, oh, hey, we still got to do this. Oh, yeah, thank you for reminding me. I got to jump on that. You got to be unapologetic about reminding people of what you have to offer. What you have to offer matters. What you have to offer is important. And if it's that important, you got to remind people. Now, you may be saying to me, well, Doc, if it's that important, they shouldn't have to be reminded. Yeah, true. You shouldn't have to remind your kid to clean their room. You shouldn't have to remind your kid to pick up the toys behind them. You shouldn't have to remind your spouse to take out the trash or to do X, Y, and Z. But people are people and people need to be reminded. Just like you need to be reminded as a consumer to make a decision when you're traveling down a highway, you're looking at commercials on your phone, your TV, listen to commercials on your smartphone or your podcast or radio. It is a reminder that, hey, if you want this, since you're listening to this content, go ahead and make that purchase. And I'm going to remind you every day. I'm going to remind you to, hey, come visit us at the car dealership. And in your mind, you know you need a new vehicle. Or, hey, come visit us at this particular shopping center. We have XYZ stores. And you know you need to change your wardrobe or get new shoes. Or, hey, you feel that draft coming through your window. I'm reminded through marketing to go ahead and call the window guys so I can replace the windows in my home. Marketing serves as an opportunity to remind people, and it helps build your reputation. It helps build a name. When I'm out and about and the people, they interact with me on social media, they interact with me on the podcast, and I walk into a room, sometimes it just tickles me. Yes, I said it tickles me. It tickles me when people say, hey, Dr. Clark, great podcast over there. I appreciate what you shared. And sometimes I'm caught off guard by it because I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that, I'm pumping this stuff out and pushing it out. It's a reminder that people are watching, they're listening, and they're capturing the information. The question is, what are you saying and what are you not saying? There are things that you must say and do to put out there about your organization to build its reputation. Here's another tidbit, and I got to move on to the next point. You want to build a reputation of your leaders. You want to build a reputation of your organization. Of course, marketing is key. But the biggest reputation builder is delivering on promises. If you cannot perform, if you cannot deliver, if you cannot do the work you claim you can do, then you have no reputation, or you lose reputation, because you will always be that person that walks into the room and people say, oh, there they go. Yeah, they said they were going to do this and they never did it. It is important for you to learn how to perform on the work and do what you claim you're going to do. Here's the fourth factor that influences grant decisions, and that is the competition. Who's competing for the money? You're new. You have an exciting program. You have exciting things going on. People are excited about what you're doing. But here's the thing, though. You're not the only one going after that money. In so many cases, you're the newbie, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. And yet you're competing with the big guy who's 10 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old, been in the game, have deeper, and I mean deep relationships with funders. There's just competition. And this can be so discouraging to so many nonprofits. This can be discouraging to so many people who are starting out, who are heart-driven, who are driven by the mission of their work, who are driven by the purpose of their work, who are driven by wanting to just do good. And yet they forget that, yes, you want to do good. Yes, it means something for you to do good, but you are running a business. It is a business. A foundation has finite resources. They may have a large endowment. They may have billions of dollars stored away, and they're eating off of the endowment, but they have a budget that they must meet every year. They cannot give money to everybody. So therefore, there is competition for those funds you're looking for. For smaller foundations, there's indeed competition, and the funds are much smaller. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? It is important. It is important for you to understand that you're going to have to compete. And if you're new to the game, if you're new to the industry, competition is always going to beat you out. Therefore, you have to go another route. And again, it's about partnerships. It's about relationships. It is about who you know, who you're befriending, who are you connecting with on LinkedIn, who are you messaging on Facebook, who are you messaging on Instagram. Are you building an online relationship, having Zoom meetings and getting to know people who are across your city? And when things open up in your city, having live in-person meetings over lunch, over coffee, over tea. Are you doing those things to build relationships? This is how you get around competition, by building relationships and becoming a subcontractor to someone who has a better chance of landing a grant than you. There are a lot of benefits to that. There are a lot of benefits to being a subcontractor, such as you can get a larger grant amount. You can secure grant opportunities that were never available to you. You can get exposure. You can become relevant. Your name can get out there in ways that it never would have just because of association. Yes, that stuff is real. Yes, it's true. You got to figure out how to make that happen. Let's pause right here. Let's take another break, and we'll be right back after this. Have you ever wondered how large nonprofits consistently generate millions of dollars? Have you ever wondered how to write the perfect grant, or how to successfully manage a grant, or even how to find money beyond grants? Hi, my name is Dr. William Clark, and I'm the creator and instructor of What You Should Know Before Applying for Grants. This masterclass has over 28 modules of training, and it comes with tools, tips, and tricks on how to generate significant money for your nonprofit. Some students have been fortunate enough to build six-figure programs, and others have been fortunate enough to triple their fundraising results because of this masterclass. Whatever your fundraising goals are, this masterclass can help you achieve them. To register your seat, simply go to mysixfigurefunding.com. That's mysixfigurefunding.com, and you'll be taken immediately into our student portal where you can access all of our trainings. You can take the trainings on demand, at your own pace, and at any time. You even can interact with other students and me all online from the comfort of your home or your office. If you want to secure your seat today for this masterclass, what you should know before applying for grants, simply go to mysixfigurefunding.com. Again, that's mysixfigurefunding.com. And I'm looking forward to learning with you and growing with you as you achieve your fundraising goals for your nonprofit. All right, family, thanks for hanging in there with me. We're back. We've been talking about the 5 factors that influence grant decisions. The first thing we talked about is you got to be relevant to funders and their priorities. You got to have a strong project. You got to have a good reputation. Your organization does, and your leaders must have a good reputation. And then we just wrapped up. You got to understand that there's competition. Here's the last thing I want to share with you before we go today, and that is funding availability and timing is so key. You got to understand the cycles of funding in your city, in your state. It's different. It's not the same. There are general rules of thumb, but do not go by the general rules of thumb. Whatever works for me in Connecticut, it may not be the same in your state. And even still, what works for the city I live in may not be the same in a different city within the same state. You have to understand when's the cycle of availability. It might make sense for you to go ahead and start tracking this stuff, right? Plotting it on a spreadsheet and figuring out when things are available. When are they typically available, the start date and the closing date? When do they have FAQ sessions where you can talk about bidders conferences, rather, when you can talk about and ask questions about the grant so you can learn more about the grant, the funding opportunity, and to see the competition and what you're up against? It's important for you to know, okay, if I'm going after 15 grant opportunities this year and 10 of them are due at the same time, how do I manage my time? Look, there's a strategy for that. There's a strategy for all this stuff. And at the end of the day, I always teach you guys and I talk about you got to have a master grant application to govern your full fiscal year. That way you write a big major grant once as a template. And from there, you can tweak it as necessary for large and small nonprofits. But you can't do that if you don't know what you're planning for, if you don't have a reason for it, if you don't have a concept for it, a thesis for it, right? You got to know when funding opportunities are available and when and where and who. Timing matters. So you can't just launch your company in the middle of the summer and say, I am going to go after grants. It's likely there's no grants available at that time. It's possible. Everybody's at the beach. Everybody's on vacation. Kids are out of school. Kids are home from college. People are taking off from work just to be with family. That is not a normal time when boards meet, when executives make decisions. You got to plot your timing and see when things are normally happening in your area and plan accordingly. You may be 6 months ahead of the time period where things get hot and heavy. Okay, don't wait until 15 days, 30 days before, 60 days. You need those 6 months to plan, because to write the perfect grant, it has nothing to do, and I mean absolutely nothing to do with what you put on paper. It is about the process. My class on writing the perfect grant teaches you about the process. People swear up and down it's about the words you use, the verbs, the nouns, the adjectives, the poetic ability you use to write. No. It plays a part, a small part, but it's about the process, man. And you can't have a process if you don't know when things are happening and when they are releasing, when funds are becoming available. So I really, really hope that this clarifies for you what goes into grant decisions. And so the idea of sharing this with you so that you're not discouraged, but that you are encouraged. And that you are encouraged to know that there's a process to this. And because there's a process, you can figure it out. Because there's a process, you can figure out how to make it happen. And because there's a process, that means there's opportunity for you to win. Now that you know that there's a process, no one can hold you back. You just got to figure out how to employ and deploy all these things I share with you today. Hope this is helpful. This is your host, Dr. William Clark, for the Dr. William Clark podcast. We'll catch you in the next episode. Have you ever wondered how large nonprofits consistently generate millions of dollars? Have you ever wondered how to write the perfect grant, or how to successfully manage a grant, or even how to find money beyond grants? Hi, my name is Dr. William Clark, and I'm the creator and instructor of What You Should Know Before Applying for Grants. This masterclass has over 28 modules of training, and it comes with tools, tips, and tricks on how to generate significant money for your nonprofit. Some students have been fortunate enough to build six-figure programs, and others have been fortunate enough to triple their fundraising results because of this masterclass. Whatever your fundraising goals are, this masterclass can help you achieve them. To register your seat, simply go to mysixfigurefunding.com. That's mysixfigurefunding.com, and you'll be taken immediately into our student portal where you can access all of our trainings. You can take the trainings on demand, at your own pace, and at any time. You even can interact with other students and me all online from the comfort of your home or your office. If you want to secure your seat today for this masterclass, what you should know before applying for grants, simply go to mysixfigurefunding.com. Again, that's mysixfigurefunding.com. And I'm looking forward to learning with you and growing with you as you achieve your fundraising goals for your nonprofit.